Dr. Tamara is a business school faculty member, and she is doing a great job. Dr. Tamara is teaching. We had a slide for her.
Yes, sir. I have sent you on your WhatsApp yesterday, sir.
Where did you send me? Loud, please.
Sir, I have sent you on your WhatsApp. You changed it yesterday, so
अच्छा
it
वो
will
कहाँ
be
गई
on
थी?
your.
Let me see. So we have a very interesting slide for prepared for your honor, and where is it? TS introduction. Yeah, TS लिखा
Yeah,
था नाम?
yeah,
Yes.
TS,
पूरा
yes,
नाम लिखा
TS.
करो ना यार. Okay, so let me share and let me quickly introduce Dr. Tamara because we have less time. And so once again, you can see my screen, and Dr. Tamara is the Faculty of Entrepreneurship at Landmark College, Vermont, United States of America. And this is her place where she is. And this is Landmark. There's a lot of hilly areas here, a lot of hills.
Yeah, good skiing.
Okay, and let's look how far he has traveled to talk to us. She's traveled all over the Atlantic Ocean, and ये कराची ऊपर चला गया अपना असफर साहब. कराची तो यहाँ नीचे है. Well, she's here at Karachi, and so this is International Summer School, and we have like 45 to 50 people, mostly Pakistanis, but we have some people from various nationalities. And these are the various countries which you can find in the class. And some of them will join hopefully shortly. And from Shanghai, Nepal, Bangladesh, mostly Thailand is a lot of people. And some people from other countries. And so a quick introduction of United States. Those people who do not know about United States, it's a big country with 50 states. And something about Vermont. Vermont is a state in northern east United States, known for its natural landscape. And there are a lot of forests there. Is it a lot of forests?
Yeah, a lot of forests.
And known for being home
big
to
industry.
more than 100 wooden bridges are here. Thousands of acres of mountain terrain are crossed by hiking trails. So state tree is sugar and state bird is hermit. So this is a quick, and this is your university? You did your PhD from here?
Right, right.
Franklin Pierce University, is it?
Yep, that's right. And we had remote campuses for our graduate program, so it was very interesting. We would travel all over the state of New Hampshire. We had 5 different locations that we would take classes.
And this is a river. The river is here?
The Connecticut River. Yep, goes down to the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, wow. And this is the University of, you went here? Mm-hmm. You went here for studies?
Right outside of Washington, D.C. for my undergraduate studies.
And this is her pictures. Look at this, adventurous lady. Where on the North Pole or in Alaska, this picture?
No, that's the salt flats of Bolivia, where I have my latest entrepreneurship project is with the quinoa farmers, and they grow quinoa on the shores of the salt flats. That's all salt.
This is all salt. Oh. And this is a Bolivian lady?
Right. I have a knitting company, so I work with women in Bolivia, and she's one of our head knitters. That's Elena.
So she has her own company. Tamara has her own company. She is working with people in South America, Bolivia. She's helping women to live a sustainable and a comfortable life. And she's written a book, Social Entrepreneurship as Sustainable Development. So we're really honored to have her today. We're really honored to a lady which is adventurous, which is a researcher, which is a teacher. She went for the best BS in journalism, master's in international management, PhD in leadership. She teaches economics and entrepreneurship, and did a Fulbright study for the well-being of Bolivia's women. And that is, I think, the common thing which brought us together, is it? Mm-hmm. The common thing of helping and sustainability brought us together. I won't take more time, and over to Tamara Stenn. Tamara.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Sorry about yesterday. What I want to do is just kind of touch base with everybody, see how you're doing. See if you have questions on what we've done so far. I made you a video yesterday, and I'd be happy to go over that more slowly. I also uploaded on the Google, you guys all have the Google folder with access. I uploaded a link to my book in case you want to read my book or get my book. Today, I've given you homework where you get to read a chapter out of my book. So I've made that available to you for free. So that's as a PDF in our Google folder. Okay, and that's going to be explaining some of the concepts that we're working on with the sustainability lens. Right, so what I understand is everybody's been introduced to the business model canvas, okay, which is our design thinking model of developing a business, right? This is sort of my modified version, and I can do screen shares too. But this is our course workbook, right? So what we're doing is we're using that business model canvas, and we're overlaying on it. We're putting over the business model canvas the sustainability lens, right? Which is the tool that I created based on my last 30 years of entrepreneurship work. So I grew up with a family of entrepreneurs. My grandfather, my great-grandfather, we all were business people. So my grandparents worked in the jewelry industry. Our last name was Steinschleifer, which means stone cutter. We worked with gems, and we used to live back on the German, Swiss, French border. We lived in that area during World War I. And then we were Jewish, so part of the big diaspora, the Jewish people leaving, we went over to Russia, right? So as we're leaving, as we're migrating, we're moving to many different places, we need to bring our businesses with us, right? We need to have this flexible entrepreneurial mindset. So that becomes part of my family story and part of my culture. You know, growing up around the dinner table, we would talk business. So we moved over to Russia. We were there for a while. Then we went to Israel. Israel was very crowded. Then my family went to New York City. And that's where I grew up. And by then their business had changed. They became buyers of gold and silver. So people would come over from Europe with their gold coins sewn into their jackets or their jewels smuggled into the country so they would have some kind of money to get started with. And they would go to my great-grandfather's store and get money for their jewels. And then that was how he started his business. And then my father had a dental company. He wanted to work in the dentistry industry. He didn't want to do jewelry. And then I told my father, I'll take over your company, you know, let's keep it in the family. And he said, no, you'll hate this company. It's boring. You're not going to want to work there. So I went on my own route and I started an advertising agency when I got out of college. And then I went down to Bolivia with the Peace Corps, which is an international development organization from the USA government, and started to do business development down there, started a newspaper, got to meet knitters. Then I came up here to go to grad school and I said, oh, I'm gonna need money for grad school. It's cold in the mountains of Vermont. Oh, look, there's knitters in Bolivia that are working with alpacas. Tourists are buying these sweaters. So I kind of put that together. I said, oh, here's an opportunity. So I started a knitting company and I kept that going for 20 years. And then recently I got my Fulbright to go study quinoa growers in Bolivia. And there was an opportunity, you know, in that environment where they were selling quinoa at market prices, but they had a really unique variety of quinoa. And I saw that as an opportunity, you know, let's go sell this variety and create a new market niche for ourselves. Let's not compete against the rest of the world when we can't, right? Because in Bolivia, they have very rustic means of production and they have a different style of quinoa. So all through my life, I've had this entrepreneurial mindset. And the thing that's really good about that is it lets you be flexible as your life changes. Right, even here in this COVID environment, there's tremendous new opportunities that are opening up because our environments have changed, and the entrepreneurism gives you that flexibility to jump in and be there. The other thing that entrepreneurism brings is a huge opportunity to be an example of something different, right? Because you have total freedom. It's your business. You can do whatever you want with it. And so what we do with the sustainability lens is we're looking at how do we create an entrepreneurial mindset that also is sustainable, right? So how do we build this sustainability into the actions that we take as a business? And as a business owner, we have tremendous power because we're purchasing things, we're creating value for products, and we're influencing our customers. So by making mindful decisions, we can also be helping to build a more sustainable world, not just for ourselves or for our customers, but for our entire supply chain. So in putting that together, and that's what we'll be talking about the next couple of days, is there's 4 concepts that were created to put that together. So looking at the indigenous knowledge of the people I've been working with in Bolivia, where they have a 4,000-year-old mindset, where they look back to not the Incas, but before the Incas, right? How did the ancestors do these things? And it's been developed into something called Sumat Kamana, which is living well. And so using that, their balance of living well, as we're looking at the choices that we're making, we start thinking about what is going to be the impact of this in 500 years. Okay, not just how is this going to affect my bottom line for this quarter, but how is this going to improve the well-being for my great-great-great-great-grandchildren? Okay, and then I also bring in ideas of sustainability that came from a United Nations development program called Circles of Sustainability. And with that, we're looking at the well-being of people right now, right? And how are people understanding their own well-being? Somebody might be wealthy and might live in a developed country, and according to economic factors, they're doing great. But according to themselves, they might not be. They could be unhealthy. They could be disconnected from their community. They could be unhappy with their lives, right? So by looking at the whole person and having people report themselves on how they're doing, you get a different idea of well-being. So we're going to be looking at those concepts. And we're also looking at concepts of nature, right? Because when I was developing the sustainability lens, I'm like, well, what did we used to do, right? What always used to work? So if you look at nature, nature always, like a building is abandoned, nature takes it over. Eventually that building turns back into the forest or the field that it originally came from, right? So nature always conquers. So looking at how can nature teach us lessons that'll help us be as sustainable and resilient as nature is. I bring in ideas of permaculture, where we're looking at not just being neutral maybe in the energy that we're creating, but creating more than what we need, right? Working with abundance, looking at how can we share excess resources, or how can we partner with other people to help produce more than what we need, okay? Or share the excess that we might have. And then the last concept that we look at with this is looking at, what's it called? Sustainable economies, looking at solidarity economy. So there's an international organization, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it, REPES, which is the International Network of Social Solidarity Economy. It's in almost every country. And I was introduced to it in Canada, where they actually have a ministry of solidarity, of social solidarity economy. In the United States, we're afraid of the word social, right? Because we think it's socialist and it's communist, right? So bad. So we call it solidarity economy here in the United States. But anyway, it's a great way of looking at how you facilitate exchanges where you're not only using money, right? So you're diversifying the ways that people can access products, and that you can also access materials for your goods and services. So we're taking these concepts, and we'll talk about these in more detail tomorrow. That's tomorrow's day. But we're taking these concepts and we're putting them together with that business model canvas. So as you're developing your enterprise, you're also considering these other options, right? Not just like, oh, I'm going to go make lemonade and buy some lemons at the store. Like, no, I'm going to think about where did those lemons come from? How were they farmed? Who made them? How were they treated? How is this lemon? How am I going to process this so it brings the most health to my customer? What kind of container am I going to be selling this in? What kind of place am I going to be in? You know, so we're putting more mindfulness into what we're doing other than just thinking about our bottom line and our profit. Good?
Amazing. Wow, that's amazing. Well, the world needs this. Otherwise, we're in a free fall economy. Yeah. Over to you.
Yeah, and the nice thing with this is it's once you start working in it, it's fun, right? And it's creative and it's innovative, and it actually benefits you as a business owner because you end up having more assets and more support in what you're doing, and things tend to be better. So a lot of times people think, oh, to be sustainable, I have to spend money, or I'm going to lose money, or it's a social thing. But it's really not. You know, it's just having that collective mindset, and it benefits everybody. So what I want to do now, because I gave you guys a lot of information already to read and to look at, and exercises in the workbook, and even, you know, a chance to do your own personal self-assessment, you know, and think about where are your skills as an entrepreneur and what do you like to do. So I want to just kind of open this up right now for questions. Where is everybody in their development, in their business, and understanding what we're doing?
So, yes.
So
Any
I can look
question?
at the chat. I have my big glasses on. I can look at the chat, but it's hard for me to talk to you and also look at the chat at the same time. So
Please switch on your cameras, everybody. Everybody, switch on your cameras. Hassan, Kunal Chart, Alian, please, so that Mariam. So it is a great honor for us, great honor for us that Tamara, Dr. Tamara has made us available for this module. You see, if I had to pay like $10,000 for somebody to do this, and she's volunteering, she's helping us to learn and to think in a very good way. She's helping us to think, change our thinking, to become environmentally and socially and ethically sensitive. So start asking questions related to what you have read, the model. Has anybody read her model? Listen to her model. Arif, you ask good questions. Can you start?
Ms. Tamara, Dr. Tamara, I have a question. Can you hear me?
yes.
Please introduce your name, please.
Oh, my name is Aina. I'm from Namibia, but I'm staying in Thailand now for my studies. And the question that I have is, since you have done a lot of sustainable goals and gone through these workshops, I would say, would you say that businesses or entrepreneurs would survive longer or do better if they were to align their business to sustainable development goals?
Yeah, that's a really great question. What I find with the sustainable development goals, I haven't really taken them 100% seriously until the last 2 years because they are such an incredible unifier. The reason why I didn't take them very seriously because it seemed very prescriptive. Like it was easy. Oh, I did this, I did that. I recycled some, you know, I used less water. I recycled some materials. Check, check. I did my goal. And there wasn't really like that intentionality behind it. And I felt like sometimes it could be like a trick. You know, an agency or an organization says, okay, I did this, I did that, I'm all done. And it didn't really seem like it had that full mindfulness. But now what I find with it, because so many people, it's becoming such a common language for everybody. And you'll see at the end of today's reading, we actually, there's some mention of the Sustainable Development Goals. What happens is it's a unifier. So it's awesome. So one of the things that's really great with the business model canvas, we have that area of partnerships. And this really helps us to find other partners. You know, as we're looking at building sustainability in our enterprise, one of the examples I gave you is a beer brewer, right, in the United States. So it's a company that makes beer, but what they do is they partner with communities that have factories that are unused, right, factories that are abandoned. And they use community money to reopen those factories, to create new jobs, to put in sustainable energy systems that also produce more than what's needed. So they invest in big solar grids that then the community can also get energy from. And so it becomes, so having that mindset and then having these goals makes those kinds of projects more feasible, right? Because the community can feel good. Oh, look, we're helping to meet some sustainable development goals by partnering with this business, right? We're creating more energy, or we're cleaning a badly used environmental area, right? So I find the goals are a unifier, okay? And I find the sustainability lens helps you to more the sustainability lens functions independent of the goals, but as you're doing the sustainability lens, you are also meeting the goals. And then the goals create that common language and other people that you can partner with in a way that makes sense. So you're not always explaining what you're trying to do. You can just say, goal number 2, right? And then it becomes more understandable.
Great, great. So
I
Tamara,
also have a question.
Yes, please.
Maya, if I may ask you a question, I was wondering why the business model canvas does not include focus on a business own individual building blocks, but it seems to disregard the impact that competition might have on it. So is there any particular reason for that, or just in general?
Did you understand?
Yeah, so one of the things that I love, this is one of my favorite books, Blue Ocean Strategy. Are you guys familiar with this? Yeah, I love Blue Ocean. So Blue Ocean really ties in, and in the workbook, I think the workbook I gave you talks about Blue Ocean. Yeah, there's some Blue Ocean parts. So what Blue Ocean does is it ties in great with sustainability, because what it looks at is how can you function in a crowded marketplace and be different, right? Where is your niche in that market that's going to make you, instead of like the red ocean is where all the sharks are eating each other and it's very competitive and everyone has the exact same thing that they're all trying to fight about. Whereas the blue ocean, you create something different. And what I find with sustainability, we naturally create those blue oceans. So when you have a blue ocean, the competition becomes irrelevant. Because, for example, with the quinoa, when I saw the quinoa farmers, you know, Bolivia was the world's #1 producer of quinoa. And they had tremendous control of the market because, you know, they were the market. And they were able to raise prices and do very well for themselves. In 5 years, the poorest farmers of the country were making more than the middle class. But other countries started to look at, well, quinoa is so expensive and everybody wants it. Let's go grow it too. Right? And the Peruvian government spent a lot of money and invested in the quinoa development in their country, and they outproduced Bolivia. And they did it with industrial methods, and they were very efficient, and they were less expensive, and the quinoa prices dropped tremendously. And the Bolivian farmers could no longer make a living. They couldn't compete, but they had no choice. All they knew how to do was grow quinoa because of their lands. So they were suffering. So they were sitting there suffering in the red ocean. Right? The whole rest of the world now, Pakistan, I'm sure, has quinoa. Everybody is growing quinoa now. It's very adaptable. So the Bolivians, the original quinoa growers, got left behind, okay? Because they couldn't keep up with all of the industrialized methods and the better land and the, you know, whatever that was available, right? The Bolivian country is a less developed country, and the government does not invest in the rural farmers. So they were at a disadvantage, except, you know, looking at the blue ocean, they had unique quinoa varieties, and they had the most nutritious, healthy, delicious quinoa in the entire world. Because as you take the quinoa away from its birthland of Bolivia, the quality of that quinoa diminishes. Nobody knew that. And nobody knew there were varieties. They just know it's white, red, and black. They didn't know that there was all different, like Espina and Toledo, Amarillo. There's all different kinds. So that's like, again, you know, working with sustainability, instead of trying to make the Bolivian farmers become industrialized and tear the earth apart and use all kinds of industrial chemicals to catch up. Instead, we looked at what they did. Let's slow farm. Let's value this product. Let's scale it to a scale that makes sense for them. Let's pay them a price that's a living wage. And let's educate the world on this very unique variety of quinoa, giving ourselves that blue ocean. So now we're stepping out of that competition. We're creating a more sustainable model, and we're creating our own market. Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah, it does satisfy my curiosity because I was just wondering as to why we're not like focusing on that element as much. But you did adequately answer it. Thank you for
So
that.
this is exactly entrepreneurship, Tamara. That uh, in our case, the entrepreneurship plus model says that you are unique and find something unique. Don't be me too. You don't have any competition. You are you, and he is he. So do something which is makes you you. So that's the blue ocean comes in. Blue ocean comes in. Great. So what are your expectations? Can you kindly tell them in the next 4 or 5 days? What are they supposed to do, Tamara?
Sure. So my goal, hopefully in the next 4 or 5 days, is to help you guys get going with launching your own social enterprise. Now, I know some of you already have some business ideas, and I would love to hear them, and send me an email because I would love to chat with you on email. I gave you guys a template. I can do a little screen share if you guys want and show you some of the tools I gave you. If I go to, where is my, can I go to my thing? My inverter, this is it, I think. Oh, let's see, I think this is it. No, that's my Zoom meeting. Anyway, maybe I won't do it. But anyway, in the Google folder that I gave you guys, I'm gonna stop screen sharing because I'm doing a terrible job at it. In the Google folder that I gave you guys, there's a printable business model canvas. So you can actually write in it yourself. You can just type all your own information in. But what I would love to do is see your guys' business model canvas. The goal that we have for this class is a pitch. So I want to hear you guys, tell me about this amazing sustainable business that you have. How is your company different than all others? Like I gave you an example, if people don't have a company or have no idea where to even start, I gave you an example of a lemonade stand here in Vermont that sells lemonade at our farmers market like one day a week. And I gave you USA pricing and everything for, what might that look like. But that's not a sustainable business, right? That's a good business, selling lemonade, and you'll see if you look at the pricing on that, you can make a little profit. But what really makes you different is where you're going to put in that sustainability, right? So am I going to, if I use my lemonade stand, am I going to use organic?
You talked about a restaurant in Australia in the video which you
Yeah,
sent
that's
us.
a good one. Yeah.
Can we ask anybody who's seen the video, the Australian restaurant she talked about? Nobody saw it, unfortunately. I will be after your grades. We'll have a quiz tomorrow in the morning in my class, gentlemen and women. It's really disappointing. You see, it's very disappointing, Huda Gauri, that a lady has spared her precious time and we didn't watch that video. Very sad. It's a very interesting restaurant she talks about in Australia. I think it's amazing restaurant. You have to pay whatever you like.
Yeah.
If the food cost is $10, yes, over to
It
Tamara.
seems very
Can you
interesting,
share?
sir.
Yes. If you can pay $2, pay 2. If you can pay 20, you pay 20. Tamara, can you put more light on that?
Yeah,
Are you-
sure. And I gave you guys in the PowerPoint is a link, so you can definitely, if you guys have good Wi-Fi access, go and look at it. You can see the restaurant today, what they're doing today. I gave 3 examples, and in the reading that you have for tonight, I gave you a chapter from my book that brings in examples of real businesses using different parts of the sustainability lens and different examples of how it looks. So that restaurant was using the ideas of solidarity economy, essentially, in having labor that's also very flexible. Some people are paid staff, some people are volunteer, some people will work for food, some people will work for free. And then the customers will just come in and buy what they want. It's a vegetarian restaurant, it's delicious, it has a great environment. So sometimes customers will just come in and buy a meal because they're hungry, right? Sometimes customers come in because they have no money and they're looking for some food, but everyone sits at the table together and eats. And that's a really nice thing too. So you have this real mix of like socioeconomic and culture and just everybody working together. And they have several restaurants now. And the model works. it sounds very risky because you can't project, am I going to be able to make my bottom line, right? Restaurants are one of the hardest industries to work in because everything is perishable and you have to pay for your products up front, but it works. So that's kind of a cool example there.
Very interesting. Is it going to work in Pakistan, Uzair? Will this work in Pakistan? Open a restaurant, you pay whatever you like. What do you
Sir,
think?
I don't think so.
Sir, very
Sir, I
difficult.
don't think so.
Azerbaijan, will it work there?
Sir, one of the
depends where
economic
you're
problem.
opening your restaurant, the
Sir,
location.
Sir, in previously we studied one of the problem of public goods, that there is a free rider problem in public goods. So can we consider this restaurant a public good? Because the thing is that whatever you want to pay to the restaurant, people would take the wrong benefit of such kind of advantages. That's it.
But why is it happening in Australia? And we claim to be the champions of faith. We
Sir, can I
claim
say
to be
something?
Tamara, we people consider the Pakistanis, we consider ourselves the sons of God actually. They claim themselves the champions of faith. And people in Australia are doing it, Uzair. Is it not a shame that it's not we're not thinking about it?
But sir,
It is absolutely.
Ji, Misam.
This is not the only point, sir. There are many other points that we need to note down as well. That those
Misam.
people, in spite of being non-Muslims, are following.
But sir, here also people are very like they like to give charity and everything. They participate in giving charities, and so someone if really wants to give $20, they would give it $20 here as well. So I think it would work here as well. It would need some time, but it would work.
I like this point, Misam. I think it's a matter of touching the hearts of the people. Tamara, is it? We need to touch the hearts of the people. We need to tell them, yeah, maybe Tamara can put some light on it.
Yeah, and it's not the only time that we've had businesses like that. There's a bakery in New York also that does the same thing with brownies. And they have, anybody can come in and bake. It's a bakery. Can bake brownies, and a lot of times prisoners were coming in, people that would leave. We have a very big prison system here in the United States. And after people leave jail, other people don't want to hire them because they think that they'll be a problematic person. So then unemployment is very hard amongst the prison population. So in this place, there was a lot of prisoners were starting to work there, but anybody could. And then Ben and Jerry's, because they also have a sustainability mindset, and that's the ice cream company, Ben and Jerry's ice cream. They started buying the brownies from that bakery for their brownies and their ice cream. So that became like a big commercial account for them. But they also sell their bakery, their baked goods the same way, where it's, set your own price. We have our own workers. So this model that they used in Australia isn't the only place this model has been used. And I'm sure if you look around in your own countries, you might find stories like that too. Like even in the Bolivian system, we have something called Aini, amongst the indigenous peoples. And what that is land share. So there's always some communal land that's being cultivated so that everybody in the community is fed no matter what. So this idea of sharing, collectively producing and sharing food isn't something new, right? And I'm sure that you probably will see a lot of it once you start looking, right? And I find that people have sort of a collective memory amongst themselves, and this idea of sharing and producing food together makes sense to people.
Tamara, one interesting thing in that Australian story was many employees were volunteers. Many people who were working were volunteers. So Furqan Haider, why would somebody volunteer? These are amazing questions. It seems these people are not from this world actually. The owner and the employees, they are angels.
It depends on the environment of like how the people around are behaving. If like people are collectively behaving good, so it's going to have a positive impact overall, and it will like multiply the whole thing.
But I see something different in it. I have a different understanding actually. I think there's something more actually. There is something more, I think, which we need to reflect. And Tamara saying, I think there's something deeper inside that. And that is, I think, there's a purpose of life, which is Clayton Christensen, a Harvard professor, says. You know what he says? He says that if you engage with people who have a common purpose, then those people, those friends, those employees, they are ready to work for a common purpose. They're not working for you. Those volunteers are not working for the bakery, maybe. They're working for a higher purpose, maybe. And this is what you see Clayton Christensen says in his book, written by Harvard, published by HBS, and he says, the yardstick with which God will measure your life is not dollars. The yardstick with which God will measure your life is how you helped others become a better human being. So when people with a higher purpose come together, they will make money, but they will exactly do what Tamara Stenn is saying. They will be making money in a sustainable way. They will be more responsible. If they have more money, they will pay $20 so that it can help others. And when they have less, they will still pay $2, $3, $4. Maybe, I don't know, maybe this is one explanation, Tamara?
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
Nazarene, you want to say something?
Yes, I want to give an example from Azerbaijan. Yeah, you mentioned exactly that the volunteering principles also in here we have, especially starts from the university times. There are some like programs which is based on the SDGs. And with this, there is some mindset that people think that this, and also me, that we think that with this we are in the intern. Also, we think like that. We are learning with working volunteer, and I think that these principles also give an experience to also company, to also who get the who in the entrepreneur who in the what is that internship, who is in the internship time. Yes.
Tamara, I just came, there's a very interesting experiment going on in Karachi. You know, Aina and Nazin and Parmada, there is a hospital in Karachi. There's a person whose name is Dr. Bari, and he made a hospital in Karachi. It's around a 500-bed hospital, and it offers free medical care. The highest level of medical care possible in the world is being offered for free. And you know where the money is coming from and the doctors coming from? Many of the doctors are volunteers. Medicine is given by volunteers. The people who can afford, they're paying for those poor people. So this is one of the only hospital in this world in which you don't have an accounting person. You don't have you just go in, and if you qualify, if you are sick and you need a treatment, you're entered in. If they have a bed, you are in. And when you get better, you don't have to talk and you can just walk away. And they say if you have to pay $10,000, if they need to spend $10,000 and $50,000, it's not your problem. The Dr. Bari and his team will take care. And you know where the doctors are coming from? The Pakistani Americans, the doctors in the United States, those soft-hearted people, you know, they have volunteered 1 month, 15 days, 20 days, 30 days. They fly in from New York, from Boston, and sometimes they bring along their American friends, and they volunteer 1 month a year. So the dozens and dozens of doctors are volunteering, bringing the cost down. And a lot of, you see, charitable people. Pakistan is ranked number 1 and 2 in the world, as my friend Meeson was saying, I think, or who was saying. It is ranked number 1 in terms of philanthropy. People spend a lot. Institutionally, we are not that good, but as an individual, people spend. So Dr. Bari brought that purpose and told the people, hey, gentlemen, who wants to join my purpose? Let's work and help the people of God. So that's a very interesting example, which we saw in 5-7 years in Pakistan. Did you understand?
Yeah, and there's other examples. Once you start looking for these things, you start seeing them everywhere, right? Because there's the Averant, I think I'm saying that correct, eye clinic in India. Where
Yeah, Averant Eye Hospital.
Yeah.
Averant Eye Harvard case is there on it, yes.
Yeah, yeah, it was same thing where high-end people who have the means, you know, can pay to rent a room of every beautiful room and get top treatment, but then the cost of what they're paying also goes towards having the same quality treatment, but not all of the fancy room and amenities, so that other people who don't have the means to pay for their eye treatment can get it for free or at a reduced price. So, and that's part of solidarity economy, that we'll see that idea of a sliding scale, for example, where the same service is offered at different price points. And the people
Abdullah, is there any other
price
example?
point are subsidizing the cost for the people that don't have as much. And it creates equality, right? And it meets our needs, because we're all better off if people all around us are healthy, not just the rich.
Abdullah, is there any other example in Pakistan? Abdullah, Azad, Rao, my team members from CED. Any other example in Pakistan?
AD Foundation is also a good example. Shaukat Khanam also used to do the same thing as Indian hospital is doing.
Oh, great. Isha is also writing. Okay. So now you see they're thinking. Now they're initially, and still there are a lot of eye hospitals in Pakistan. There are a lot of eye hospitals.
Sir, Pakistan also has the largest private ambulance service in the world.
Yes, AD Saab, yeah, exactly.
So now what
SIUT is a good example, Urology Institute of Urology.
So what I'm gonna do for you guys.
Although it's not that perfect example, but my friend, can you hear me? My friend is a company called Karachi Foods, Tamara. It's a food company, and they have a restaurant. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Sir, we can't hear you. Sir, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही.
Yeah, now I can't hear you.
You can go ahead, Tamara.
Okay. Anyway, what I was saying, because I'm kind of looking at the time and I have another meeting that I need to jump into. But what I want to throw out to everybody is this is really good conversation. So we're starting to kind of think, you know, in this mindset. So go back and listen to my video from yesterday. Sorry that I wasn't here. But read the readings that I've given you. There's also a syllabus. So according to the syllabus now, you should have read an introductory paper, which explains the whole sustainability lens and how it works. Tonight, I want you to read our chapter 4 that gives you more examples of exactly how this lens is working. And I want you to work in our workbook. All right, so I gave you the beginning part of the workbook. This is all in your Google folder. Definitely email me any kind of questions or work or ideas, whatever. Communicate with me on my email. It's Tamara Stenn at landmark.edu, and it's everywhere. It's in the syllabus. It's in the PowerPoint. So anyway, so your homework for tonight is going to be to think about the business that you want to form, whether it's your business or a business that you know about. But think about where on the system, where on the business model canvas you want to work, right? So when we're talking about the restaurants, we're talking a little bit about our revenue streams and our cost structure, right? That's kind of what, yeah, we're looking at, you know, how are we going to pay for this stuff and how are we going to charge people? We're also looking a little bit at our key resources, right? What are the ingredients that we need to make this food, or the key activities when we're talking about the different medical situations? You know, who are these doctors? How are they coming in? So the sustainability lens takes a micro look at every little piece of the business model canvas. So when I was giving you the example of the beer company, they were on this piece. They were looking at key partners and using that in a really sustainable way. The hospital, you can say, is using key activities in a very sustainable way by having those volunteer doctors. So I want you to think about your business. Think about a specific part of the business model canvas where you want to focus your sustainability lens. And then what I have on page number 7 of your workbook, I have sort of a general description of the 4 parts of the lens, and that's what we're going to be looking at tomorrow. So there's 4 parts of the lens. There's resources, which is where things come from. So if you're thinking about being a doctor, what about the equipment that you're using? What about the masks and any of that medical stuff? Where is it coming from? Who's making it? Even when we're thinking about our cell phones, right? They're made with minerals that are mined under horrible conditions in Africa, right? Where children are being treated poorly because of their need to have to work in the mines. So thinking about where the materials come from, where things are made, okay, that's resources. So you're looking at that same thing. So I want to be looking only at one little piece of the business model canvas, right? And then in that little piece, I'm looking at, well, where's all my tools that I'm using? Where are they coming from? My health. How are the people around me being treated, right? Are people being given a quality of life? Are they being given security in their job? Are they being given a place where their children can feel safe and cared for while mom and dad or anybody is working, right? So in that same area, we want to think about the health in that area. We want to think about policy. Right? What are we doing? Are we doing things differently? If we're doing things differently, how are we letting other people know about it? How can we go and get involved in our local community, in the political system, in neighborhood groups, in other communities, in our medical community, in our academic community, whatever? How can we be out there talking more about our policies, right? Our different rules, how we're becoming game changers in this area. And then we also have exchange. Okay, so we use this in a micro way, right? So we're looking at each individual section. And so your homework tonight is just to choose like 1 or 2 sections of the business model canvas. So again, if I'm staying in key activities and I'm looking at exchange in key activities, and let's say again, I'm that medical center, here we're looking at diversify the methods of exchange, slow down, find a pace that aligns with the resources. So it's awesome that I have doctors coming in from the United States, let's say, to do some work in that hospital. But then also, what else am I doing with that, right? We have that airfare, they're flying in on an airplane, right? That's creating a huge amount of carbon contamination in the air. Also quality of life, right? So they're coming here because they want to do it out of the goodness of their heart, but what else are they getting from that, right? Are they going to get some free time? Are they going to get connection with community? Are they going to get to stay with a local family, or, right? So kind of looking at that ways that exchange is happening. So when you take these 4 different components of that lens and you look at it specifically on one area within that business model canvas, then you start getting new ideas. So that's our homework tonight, because right now we've been talking kind of a little bit macro, sort of like big picture, but now we're going to go micro. We're going to look really more specifically. And then when we come back tomorrow, we're going to go even more specific, more micro, and look at, well, what are these pieces that are creating the sustainability lens, so that we really understand it from a holistic perspective.
That's great, Tamara. And so what we do tomorrow in my class in the morning, my students, we will discuss the assignment before we go to your class. I will help them to force them to work on it. Asghar, you are understanding? Asghar, can you please note down? And
Yes,
we will
sir.
make sure that in the first, at 10 o'clock in my class, we discuss this thing which our Dr. Tamara is mentioning, so that we get prepared and we should value our time, we should respect our time and our energy. I have a quick question from you, Dr. Tamara.
Yes.
Dr. Tamara, 2 kids, I think 1 daughter and son. I just want to know, how are you raising them? I was amazed to know that they are working, they're making money on themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're doing really good, like this COVID time, there's a lot of opportunity.
Tell my students, how is your son and daughter? They're 19, 20, 21 years old. What are you doing? Despite the fact you can afford their food and things, what are they doing? How are they making money? Can you please share it quickly?
Sure. So my daughter is 16 and she's babysitting for a couple in our community who have two twins that are a lot of energy. So her and her friend are helping to babysit the twins, give them activities, because here in the United States, everything is closed, right? We don't have any, well, at least in Vermont. So we don't have camps, we don't have restaurants, we don't have concerts, we don't have even like the outdoor recreation areas are closed. So people are looking for things to do. So my daughter is helping her neighbor take care of the kids. She also cleans buildings. So there are a few offices that are open, but they need special cleaning. So my daughter will go and do the special cleaning, and she also cleans a woman's house. And the women.
This is the point I wanted to make, Isha. Look at this. She's cleaning. Jhadu puja kar rahi hai. She's cleaning and wiping, and she doesn't feel shame, Tamara.
Oh, she's excited. She has money. she saved her money for 3 years and just bought a car. And she has to maintain the car. So she has to pay for gas and insurance and repairs. So she's saving money now. She's earning money now so that she has money to keep her car working. And also she just wants to have money. And then my son, he's working in a warehouse. So that's one of the things that we need is food, right? We need food distribution. So he's working in a freezer warehouse. And he likes it because he's 19. He's 19. So he's going to be going to college in September. So right now he's working a lot. So he has money because when he goes back to college, he's not going to be able to work so much.
You're not going to support him? You don't support him? You don't give him money?
16, and my son is 19. And what he just did, he took $1,400 cash and bought Bitcoin. And he invested it into an app called Robinhood. So we'll see what happens now. So he's trading in Bitcoin and investing in companies. So we'll see how he does with that.
These, in Pakistan, the parents, they take care of your school education, your university education. They're responsible for the marriage. And it's a lifelong commitment. And in US, the kids have to work on their own. At which age?
Yeah, but he's living with his dad. My daughter lives with me. So we're all, the kids are independent, but they're as independent as they want to be. He could live on his own, but he's living with us. It's easier, right?
Great.
So save a little bit of money. But yeah, here the kids make their own decisions about where they work, what they do. We can say something. But legally, once they're 18, we have no control over our children.
So great. So any question, then we can, so Asghar Saab, can you please, can you ask everybody to read these assignments and come in the class
I have already
prepared at 10?
sent them on, yeah, no problem.
And send me the material as well. I will also read again. So I will be prepared, and we need to be prepared by tomorrow afternoon's class when Tamara comes, okay? We should respect her time. We should value her. She's spending her time to help us, and it's not good that I salute you, Tamara. I respect you, and it's one of the greatest things to help people become better human beings. So
yeah, and tomorrow's an early day, guys. Remember that we're half an hour earlier tomorrow.
Half an hour early because she's busy.
I have a meeting, so I have to run away. After 30 minutes, I have to go tomorrow.
Say our regards to your kids and your family, and have a good day. Thank you very much, Dr. Tamara.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks.